earthquakes in just 7 days. Yeah, that's the new normal in Oklahoma. You'd think we'd be talking about California, right? Well, in Oklahoma in 2008, they experienced just 2 quakes of magnitude 3.0 or higher. But in the 9 years since, that number's exploded to more than 1,000. And many Oklahomans say the state's booming oil business is to blame for it. Let's bring in consumer advocate and environmental activist Erin Brockovich. A big welcome to you, Erin. I'm curious how you got into this issue.
Well, you know, anytime there's something that's happening environmentally and with water, people will oftentimes come to me, and that's the process that happened here, because earthquakes aren't normal in Oklahoma. So people, as they began, immediately started reaching out to me.
Okay, people don't necessarily think of earthquakes and water, so put this all together. Is it fracking? Is that what it is that leads to earthquakes? And how solid, if so, is the evidence linking it to this huge spike in Oklahoma?
What happens when we frack is you generate and use a great deal of water, billions of barrels of water, as a matter of fact. And what they do is the fracking process isn't causing the earthquakes. It's the deep water, the wastewater that is deeply injected into the subsurface that's putting pressure on these nearby faults that's causing them to move. And state and federal officials have agreed, and science as well as the USGS, that it is the pressure from the injection of this wastewater that is in fact causing these earthquakes in Oklahoma.
Okay, so this news is out there, and we're saying that it's fact from scientists. So Oklahoma's oil industry has made some adjustments. For example, they have shut down or at least reduced the output of about 700 wastewater disposal wells. That has also cut down on the number of earthquakes. There was an average of 4 a couple of years ago, 4 a day, now 2 a day. So what more needs to be done?
Well, they have done that, and, you know, they can continue to reduce that even further. So the damage has been done, though. The horse is out of the barn, if you will, because scientists saying even if they continue to do that, in the future, this risk of a 5.0, 6.0 or greater will continue for those in Oklahoma.
And how long into the future does the risk continue? I mean, is it a couple of years? Is it a decade? Is it longer?
Oh, it could be a decade or longer, or decades. You know, in 2014, where it was about 12 billion barrels of wastewater was deeply injected and is putting pressures on these faults. And so it could be decades before the risk is reduced. So it's certainly a problem. And, you know, we've been out there. I was just out there a couple of weeks ago, and I'm from LA. I haven't felt an earthquake in a while, knock on wood. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden we're all going, earthquake. So it's very concerning to the people that live there. They feel very fearful, and they want information and facts. Look, we want the oil and gas industry to be a good neighbor and do what they need to do right environmentally. This has happened. It's a problem, and they could reduce it even further, but in the future, the chance of a 6.0 earthquake or greater is still going to exist.
Okay, we're seeing magnitudes on our last graphic, if my director wants to put that back up for us, in the 2s, the 3s, but you reported that 1 year where they were on the Richter scale in the 5 magnitude. How
Correct.
about something like a 7? Is that even possible?
We will definitely tell you that the science is talking about, and state and local officials and federal officials, that in the future there's still a risk of a magnitude 6 and greater. In 2016, they had 3. They had a 5.0 in Cushing that destroyed buildings in their historic downtown. The biggest was in Pawnee, and that was a 5.8. All 3 of those occurring in 2016. Now, we haven't seen as big a magnitude, but they continue to have little ones. Like I said, when we were there, they had a couple around 3.8. But the future is showing, because of that pressure and that injection that they've done, we're not going to get away from the fact that there could, in fact, be a 6.0 or greater magnitude.
Can I ask you, talk about the current EPA chief, Scott Pruitt? Of course, he was Oklahoma's Attorney General. Now he's with the Trump administration. What's his record with regard to these quakes?
Well, he's certainly aware of them and hasn't disagreed that because of the fracking and the injection of their wastewater that the industry has created this situation. The Oklahomans, you know, they have different opinions. When I'm out there, we're just trying to focus with them about these earthquakes, damage that's been done to their homes, how they're supposed to get them fixed. So it would be varying, but he's not going to disagree with the circumstances regarding the earthquakes and what's happening in Oklahoma.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.